If you're watching this because you've finally decided it's time to stop juggling bottles in a kitchen drawer and actually give your wine a decent home, you're in the right place. You want a cooler that will sit nicely under your counter, stay quiet while you're entertaining, and actually keep your reds and whites at the right temperature without you having to babysit it all day. The fear most of us have is buying a flashy unit that looks great on paper but ends up being a constant source of disappointment, either because it can't hold the number of bottles you need, the temperature swings like a thermostat in a sitcom, or the LED lights turn your wine cellar into a nightclub. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. A lot of the conversation around under-counter wine coolers revolves around three things: capacity versus space, temperature flexibility, and how much the unit blends into the kitchen. The Pemberly Row Panel Ready 15-inch model tries to hit all three. At 23 bottles, it's a decent size for a small collection, but it's not a massive seller. That size works well if you're the type who enjoys a few bottles a week and wants to keep both a couple of reds and whites ready to serve. If you're looking to store a couple hundred bottles, you'll quickly outgrow this piece and start feeling cramped. What sets this cooler apart from a lot of other freestanding models is the panel-ready design. The front can be finished with a piece of wood or laminate to match your cabinetry, so it literally disappears into the wall of your kitchen. In a real-world kitchen that already has a lot of visual noise, think stainless steel appliances, open shelving, and a busy countertop, this is a huge win. You can install it under a standard 15-inch cabinet space, and the beechwood shelves add a touch of warmth that feels more like a wine cellar than a fridge. Temperature control is another crucial factor. The unit offers dual-zone temperature regulation, meaning you can set one side around 55°F for reds and the other near 45°F for whites. In practice, this works fine for everyday use, especially if you don't need sub-zero storage for sparkling wines or desserts. The thermostat is simple to adjust with a knob that feels solid, and the temperature holds steady after the first 24-hour break-in period. For most home diners, that's more than enough precision. If your hobby is aging fine wines for years, you might find the lack of fine-tuning a bit limiting. LED lighting is a feature that often feels gimmicky, but Pemberly gives you a choice of amber, blue, or white illumination. In a dimly lit dining room, the amber light highlights the deep ruby of a Cabernet, while the white setting makes a crisp Sauvignon sparkle. The blue option can be useful if you're hosting a dinner party and want a subtle, modern vibe. The lights are not overly bright, so they don't ruin the ambience, and they're energy efficient. However, if you plan to keep the cooler open for long periods, like a tasting session lasting several hours, the LED colors can start to wash out the wine's true color, which is something to keep in mind. Now, let's talk about the real-world daily usability. Loading the cooler is straightforward thanks to the open front and the removable Beech shelves. The shelves slide out easily, so you can refill the cooler without juggling bottles inside the unit. If you have a mix of standard 750 ml bottles and a few larger magnums, you'll find the shelf spacing a little tight for the bigger formats. You might need to sacrifice a few bottles to make room for the wider stems. The interior is well insulated, so the compressor runs quietly, perfect for keeping the hum down during a movie night or while the kitchen is otherwise quiet. The unit does cycle on and off, but the changes in temperature are gradual enough that you won't notice any sudden spikes that could ruin a delicate wine. Who should buy this? If you're a casual wine enthusiast who enjoys a few bottles a week, wants both reds and whites at proper serving temperatures, and values a seamless look in a modern kitchen, the Pemberly Row Panel Ready 15-inch cooler is a solid match. It's especially appealing if you've already got a built-in cabinet space and want to avoid the eyesore of a freestanding refrigerator. Homeowners who love hosting dinner parties and appreciate the visual appeal of illuminated wine bottles will also get a lot out of the LED options. On the flip side, skip this if you're planning to build a serious collection that will exceed 30 bottles, or if you need a wider temperature range for sparkling or fortified wines. The limited space and the relatively narrow temperature bands mean you'll have to be selective about what you store. Also, if you don't have a dedicated 15-inch cabinet space, installing this unit might require extra carpentry work, which could push the overall cost higher than anticipated. Practical strengths. The panel-ready design lets the cooler blend into your kitchen without